Hey friend, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is inspired by a conversation that we've been having over on Instagram with a couple of the mamas over there and kind of the end of the year feeling. Here we are at the beginning of May, if you're watching this video, and you may be getting to feel that the school year is a drudgery, or you're not feeling excited about it, or things aren't working, and you're like trying to drag yourself to the end of the school year. And I just wanted to share some encouragement over here on this platform of what our discussion has been over on Instagram, hopefully to help you get some ideas of how you can infuse a little bit more joy in your homeschool experience. So imagine that you are at your conference of your dreams and the homeschool convention, and you see my name on the program, on the schedule, and you're like, I'm going to go to her class. So that's where we are. This is kind of like a little presentation, a little bit of encouragement on how you can finish the school year. And I have a few suggestions, 5 tips of what you can hopefully incorporate that will infuse a little bit more joy into your journey. So let's go ahead and get started. I haven't done one of these teaching videos in a long time, so I'm really excited to talk to you because the fact that you've clicked on this video tells me that you have been feeling a little bit of drudgery in your school. And I am just here, first of all, we are at the end of the school year, and maybe you're not at the end of the school year yet, but these tips can be implemented at any time during your school year. And I just want to encourage you that when you look into your own school life, I want you to remember that this is your school. This is your journey and your path, and you don't have to make it look like what public school is doing, first and foremost, which especially as homeschool moms who, if you've pulled your kids out of public school, or if you yourself attended public school, or you're surrounded by public school children, it's very easy for us to look at what they're doing and feel that draw that we have to finish, we have to keep up, we have to do it because they're doing it. And this is my encouragement. I want to release you from that feeling, because as a homeschool parent, you have the opportunity to teach your kids and train your kids and educate your kids the way that you want to do it. So keep that in mind as you approach this kind of tough season of life, that you have the freedom to change whatever you want to change. So if you are at the end of the school year like the rest of us, the second thing I want you to kind of keep in mind is that in public school, at the end of the school year, I was a public school teacher, so I speak from experience, there is a lot of state testing, parties, they're signing their yearbooks, they're having end of year goodness, they're having field trips or field days or on campus hoorah-rahs and dances and like all of the things that are happening on campus during the end of the school year, that the learning aspect is significantly reduced. There's not necessarily new content that's being taught at the end of the school year, mostly because the season is so busy. And I do know, like, a lot of times May gets this, this vibe that everybody is so busy in May. It's like Christmas. It's like December, but in May, because every night there's a party and every night there's another gallery or open house or come and see or go to the play, or all of the things are coming together at the end of the year. And so the kids are very busy in school. And I think as homeschool mamas, we forget that because our schedule is kind of the same. And so I want you to remember and be encouraged that they're at the school level. They're not necessarily giving them all these new chapters. They're not going to be finishing the last 2 chapters of their history book or the last 17 lessons of their math curriculum, because they're getting ready for the end of the school year too. And they have to deal with their calendar issues as well. So we may not, as homeschoolers, deal with calendar issues, but we do deal with the drudgery of like trying to encourage the kids to get their work done. And maybe that's how you're feeling. It's like they're doing their work, but it's very it's just drudgery. It's not enjoyable. And I love homeschool so much. I love everything about it, that my hope is that I can help you have the best experience and a good experience in your homeschool world. So with those 2 thoughts in mind, I have jotted down 5 quick tips that you can implement in your homeschool right now that will hopefully change the vibe in the coming days and weeks. So the first tip is to get organized. Rearrange your organization. Make sure that you have a place where your kids can turn work in and where they get their work from. So what the new work is, where is that? And where are they turning their work in, as well as where are you writing down your curriculum? You're going to want to know what work you need to get done over the course of however many weeks you have left. If you're changing something up, you need to be organized to know what it is that you're going to do to change and how are you going to put all of those pieces together. Shameless plug for my lesson plan book. I love this because it's very simple. I've done lots of videos about it, so perhaps you have seen me talk about it before. I'm trying to get to a blank page here, but this is just a way that you can organize what it is that you want to have in your homeschool. What subjects do you want to have? What do you want to pick up? What do you want to let go of? And just write those things down and be organized in a place that you're going to be able to know what was accomplished and where is that, and what do we need to finish, and where physically in the classroom is that, or in your kitchen, or wherever it is that you school. Okay, that's number one. The second one, I'm trying to do this in an order, and that's not how I wrote it. So the second one is to personalize your learning. This is kind of goes off what I was talking about earlier, where we may feel like the public school is doing the human body, so we have to do the human body. Or it says on this list that sixth graders always learn the history of America or geography or whatever it is, so we feel we have to do that. I started this unit. I feel like I have to do it. And this is where we have the benefit of homeschool, that if something is not working, we can let it go and do something different. If you're on a bird unit study and nobody's interested in it and the curriculum that you chose is too sluggish or too wordy or too crafty and you can't seem to get through it and get yourself started, then leave that on the shelf and pick up something new so that you can finish your school year with something different. If you feel like you don't have enough science, and you want to do science, then pick up a unit that's interesting to you. Do you want to learn about butterflies or the body or matter or earthquakes or volcanoes? Ask your kids, what are you interested in? Let's go to the library and look at all of these books on this shelf and pick out something that you're interested in and just leave behind whatever it is that you were doing. In my experience, we personalized our learning by letting go of an entire subject. We are not finishing science for the fourth quarter for various reasons, most of which is that it just didn't fit in our schedule and I just I felt so stressed trying to plan that, as well as another curriculum unit study that I was really excited about and wanted to move forward with my family. So this is just your encouragement to say you are not tied to what you started with or what you're almost done with or what's feeling like a drudgery, even if it's a math curriculum. Even if it's math, drop what you're doing with math, and sometimes even just having a new workbook to be able to do can infuse a little bit of an excitement with your kids. I've suggested Evan Moore lots of times. That's my go-to suggestion. So if you haven't looked on their website, I'll put a link in the description box below. I am an affiliate, so I do get a little, kickback if you do choose to purchase something from them, but I do love them because they have very inexpensive resources. They're very colorful. The downside is they do only go through fifth grade primarily. There are a few resources that are for sixth graders, but it is more of those elementary level kids. So my son is going into sixth grade next year, and I know that my Evan Moore options are going to be limited from that, but you can, make some things work, and they have, crafty stuff like history pockets or literature pockets if you want to go in those directions, if you kind of have crafty kids like I do. Anyway, customize your learning. Decide what you want to do. What is inspiring to you? If the curriculum that you picked and the drudgery of pulling out that workbook every day is killing your soul, then stop doing it. I give you the permission, especially if you're at the end of the school year in May. It is going to be okay if all you do is read a read aloud. And you're like, I've been wanting to read my kids this book and I haven't had time because we're exhausted or we're busy or we have too many other things going on, to let go of your entire language arts curriculum and just do a read aloud with your kids and really explore the book and talk about it and read it and then maybe look up on Pinterest for one quick little craft that you can do at the end of the book or in the middle of the book or something like that. So customize your learning is tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to adopt a new schedule. If what you're doing feels really drudgery, but you know you need to do it. Maybe you have older students, maybe you have connections with a third-party education platform that you have to report to, that you feel responsible for, that letting go of the curriculum doesn't feel like it's an option for you. Or maybe it's the beginning of the school year. I honestly, can I say this on the side? If you are feeling like you cannot let go of a curriculum that you're using because of some outside party, can I encourage you to consider stepping away from that outside party, whatever it is that they're providing for you, because whether it's maybe a financial stipend or some kind of help, if they are requiring that you're using a curriculum that isn't enjoyable for you, then the joy and the benefit, that's one of the greatest benefits of homeschool, is that you can customize your kids' learning. And if you don't feel like you can do that, then this is my encouragement to you. It's like a bonus tip to look into other paths that will help you step away. Maybe you are part of a co-op and they all use this particular curriculum, but you don't love that curriculum. Then maybe I would consider talking to some of the management or the leadership team and beginning to look for how you can phase yourself out from that, because what you're using to teach your kids is so much of a joy and can really infuse so much excitement about learning. And if mama doesn't love it, then the kids are going to struggle with it too. So that was kind of like a side tangent, but adopt a new schedule. So whatever it is that you're doing is to just change your schedule up a little bit. Maybe you're going to learn in a different space. Maybe you're going to do a read aloud first on the couch instead of everyone gathering around the school table to do Bible study. Maybe you want to start learning outside. Maybe you want to learn in the afternoon, or you want to take a big long break, or maybe you want to throw in an entire spring break or summer break or whatever and just take a full week off. One of the conversations I was having on Instagram was she was saying, I feel like I'm taking a lot of breaks and I'm trying to reset with breaks, but it's not changing the flow. We get back into school and I'm immediately overwhelmed and everything is hard. And it is hard, especially when you have a family of 3 to 5 to 7 kids that you're all trying to teach at once, or maybe you've added a new family member to the mix and a new student in the classroom that's just a babe in arms. And it does make it challenging. And so I would encourage you to analyze, take some quiet time to look, how can I manage and do things differently? If you couple tip 2, which is to personalize your learning, with tip 3, which is to make a new schedule, you may be able to come up with something that will work with all of the children's schedule, even the infant. You could be doing a read aloud while the infant is, in your arms, or you could be doing math while the infant is sleeping. Or you could be having, if you have an online, an online learning program, you can have the older kids doing their online learning, which is self-directed, and then you can split your time over to the younger kids in something that needs a little bit more attention, like perhaps math or language arts. So look at your schedule and figure out, how can I rearrange this? Are you going to do a looping schedule? Are you going to do centers? Are you going to just cut everything out and do family school altogether? So there are a couple of options, and you just need to take some time to analyze and say, how can I change my schedule? Because what I'm doing feels like drudgery, like we're dragging through the mud and nobody is having fun. And I have such a joy and a love of homeschooling, but I still do have those hard days where it's like, I just have to drag myself into the classroom. And if I have too many of those days consecutively, then something in my brain switches and it's like, did you like how I grabbed my hair? Something in my brain switches that says, guess what? You have to change it. This isn't fun for you. So that energy is pouring into your kids. This isn't fun. This is hard. Come on, let's just do it so we can be done. Those kinds of sentences are going to bring negativity into your classroom and into your experience, which is not what we want. And homeschool can be fun and it can be so worthwhile. And yes, it is a drudgery and it is hard sometimes, but if you have too many of those days, then I am here to encourage you that we need to find something different that excites you. Involve your children in finding something that's going to be enjoyable for them. I hate reading. Okay, let me read to you. You don't have to read it. Like, it's the end of the year. It's May. Nothing significant is going to be accomplished in the next 3 to 4 weeks that we can't pick up in summer school or in the next school year, right? We always do summer school, so there's not the big, delay in the next school year. It's very different, but don't feel like you have to finish. You can change it and do something different, right? So I hate math. I don't want to do this anymore. Get a calculator. Do 2 problems in your head and the last 7 with a calculator. Sometimes I do that with my kids too with their math. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I hate this. I'm like, fine. You can do 2 in your head or all of them with a calculator. And that without fail, they do 2 in their head or just like longhand, And I'm like, that proves to me you know what you're doing because both of those problems were correct. If one of the 2 problems was wrong, then I'm like, okay, try again. Do the next one. We'll correct. Let me show you how you did it wrong. Let's do the next one, right? So don't feel like you have to do everything. Change your schedule so that it feels different, okay? Number 4 is to empower your students. Empower your children with their education. And how I do this primarily in the summertime, but here at the end of the school year is when I start to feel like maybe I should do this again because we're all getting antsy. The weather's getting good. The kids want to be outside. They want to be doing their activities. They don't want to be sitting in the classroom. And so if you can empower your students with like a checklist or something to show them that this is how much we need to finish by the end of the school year, then it gives them the opportunity to work as much or as little as they want on any given subject. So for my kids, for example, my son's math lesson, he has like 15 left in the book before the end of the school year. And I'm not necessarily like super focused on finishing it, but we only have 15 left. I think we have 25 days. So I'm like, I think you can probably finish this. So you make a checklist with like bubbles or a piece of graph paper or stickers or however you want to do it. And just be like, every time you finish a lesson, put a check mark on it or highlight it or put a sticker or whatever you choose to do. Now you're empowering your students to see the finish line and they may be more inclined to get the work done. Now, sometimes for my oldest son especially, doing more work is never in his basket. If I say you only have 10 left, he's not going to do 2 every day to be done sooner. He's going to do 1 a day, but he can still see himself moving toward the finish line. It's different from the beginning of the school year where you're like, well, we're here until May. So get in your seat and let's get excited about this. So here at the end of the school year, you can line that up. If you are in the middle of the school year, you're watching this video and you're feeling the drudgery and it's only November, then do the same thing, but for the end of the term or the end of the quarter or the end of until the holiday starts or something like that, right? Give them the timeline so that they can see these are the things that we're going to finish. We're going to read the entire book. Right now, our family's doing James and the Giant Peach. So I'm going to read all of James and the Giant Peach and we're going to do this, ending activity and then we'll be done. And it gives the kids this sense of ownership and they have some responsibility and they have a little bit of control over what they're going to be able to do over the next couple of weeks. And it kind of helps infuse a little bit of excitement and another energy because they feel like, okay, now I can see where I'm going and it helps. My kids rip their math pages out of the book. So I guess you could argue that because they're ripping out and they can kind of see themselves moving to the end of the book, that may help them. But if your kids aren't anywhere close to the end of the book and you're going to finish it and not finish the whole book, you'll finish your year before you finish the book, then this is kind of a strategy that you can use to empower your children in their learning. Another suggestion to empower your children is to, and we've talked about it before, but it fits here, is to talk to them about what they want to learn. I understand that with language arts and math, you may not have a whole lot of wiggle room, but in language arts, you can choose what book do you want to read. Do you want to do poetry? Do you want to do an autobiography? Do you want to do, what kind of something do you want to pour into over these last couple of weeks? And we'll just toss the entire curriculum book to the side and do something that you want to do, right? Reading is reading. Whether they're reading fantasy or graphic novels or something fiction, if they're reading, then they're learning how to develop that English language. So don't be so hard on yourself to put them into the box that they have to finish their 5th grade work or whatever grade they are, and allow them a little bit of ownership, a little bit of autonomy in their educational movement and development. And I understand the younger the kids are, it might be more challenging, but kindergartners are going to be just as excited about what they want to learn, whether it's butterflies or bricks, right? So empower your kids to have what they want here at the end of the school year, and try to remove yourself from feeling this responsibility to finish what you started, finish what you purchased, finish the year strong, right? That's another term that we often say, let's finish strong. Okay, well, what is the definition of strong? What is strong to you? Because what's strong to me is that we're happy and that we're together and that we're excited about this homeschool path that we've taken. If we're finishing the year strong, just like pushing so hard because we want to get all of the books done, then to me, that's not a strong finish, right? Finishing strong, you can still be in last place and still have a strong finish. So anyway, that's number 4. So just as a quick recap before we get to number 5, the first tip is to stay organized. The second tip is to personalize your learning, change your curriculum if you choose to. The third one is to adopt a new schedule, maybe a new location or a different order or how you're going to do it, that kind of stuff. Number 3 is to empower your students. And then the last one, my last tip, is to accept imperfections. Accept that this is going to be a trial and error. Nobody has really done this before. For you, this is your first time doing this. This is my first time teaching 5th grade-ish. That we just kind of have to be okay with trying to figure it out. And if you start something new, let's say you take some of these suggestions and you put them into your classroom and everything fails, that's okay. Then you can say, well, we tried. Let's do something different. Really involve your kids and ask them, what can we do? Well, I just want to play outside all the time. Great. Get a ball and start kicking the ball and say, hey, every time you kick the ball, let's do a math problem. Or every time you jump on the trampoline, let's say a letter to your spelling word. Or if they're a very active mover, then incorporate that as a part of your lesson. Don't feel so tied to what you are doing. Feel encouraged and empowered that you can change it to better your circumstances and make it a more enjoyable experience for you, right? Incorporate field trips, start baking. I mean, electives are abundant. Anything that you want to do can be an elective, and you can really pour into that with your kids and decide that that's what you want to do. So anyway, this is the end of my video. This is the encouragement that I send to you. I sure hope that here at the end of the school year, you do feel a little bit encouraged, and hopefully one of these 5 tips are something that you feel like you can incorporate. If an idea came to your mind while I was talking to you, can I ask you to please write it in the comments below so that all of us can benefit from it? Something that you do when things are feeling a bit of a drudgery or you're feeling like you're dragging your children through the mud. What is it that you do to try to infuse a little bit of excitement and joy? And if it's kind of goes along with one of the 5 things that I said, then just give me your examples, because I would like to learn, because I also have 3 kids and we're trying to get through the homeschool year just as much as everybody else. So I appreciate so much you coming over to my channel. My name is Kaylin. If you're new, this is Full Purpose and Heart, and all we do is just talk about our homeschool journey here on our side of the mountain. If you're interested, I'd love to have you subscribe and come along for the journey. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in our next video.